January 14th full board meeting, which was just preceded by the Finance Committee meeting. Sarah, will you let us know what board members are present and or absent?
Yes, good morning, everyone. In our New York City office, we're meeting today, New York City, Albany, and Buffalo, and we have Lisa Gomez, Beryl Snyder, Jerry Romsky, Elizabeth Velez, Joan Sullivan, Christina Coughlin, Kent Severud, and Ken Evans. And Adrian Swizerski is absent today, and Al Carney is joining us remotely via Teams.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And first, let us congratulate Kent on his move around the color wheel from big orange to big blue. And I think that's a great move for him, although we will sadly miss him
Yes,
here.
most certainly.
Jerry's just sad it's not an SEC school,
Yeah.
but we understand.
I was hoping.
And may they not face LSU in the foreseeable future.
Or Ole Miss.
Or Ole Miss.
Okay, great. So it's a pretty quick meeting today, I think. We have minutes from the December 10th meeting. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Great, and
Second.
seconded by Liz. Thanks. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Anyone? No? Great. Motion carries. Okay, behind tab 2 is the Finance Committee report. Back
Thank
to you,
you.
Jerry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met a few moments ago. We recommend that minor amendment to the NISAC resolution be approved. We also recommend that the PIT sales tax financing also be approved. We also had adopted the meeting minutes from the December meeting of Finance. And unless anyone has any questions or concerns, that will conclude my report, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Great, and then we'll go right into the main event. Tab 3, the PIT sales tax, which is single approval financing, being presented by Matt and Co. Bond Counsel Chris Reitzel and Sonny Wilkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board is being asked to authorize the issuance of multiple series of tax-exempt and/or taxable fixed and/or variable rate bonds issued at one or more times in an amount not to exceed $2 billion. The state would like the flexibility to issue the proposed bonds under either the personal income tax revenue bond program and/or the sales tax revenue bond program. This authorization is for new money and refunding purposes. And with regard to the new money portion, the proceeds of the bonds may be used for any authorized purpose. However, the programs or projects expected to be financed by the bonds are for those projects described in the transaction report. In addition to the new money portion, this authorization also will cover the refunding of certain bonds issued under various state-supported debt programs. As far as coverage ratios, for this fiscal year ending March 31st, 2026, the debt service coverage on all outstanding state personal income tax revenue bonds is projected to be 9.1 times total debt service, and the debt service coverage on all outstanding state sales tax revenue bonds is projected to be 6.7 times total debt service. And finally, the expected ratings of either program are AA1, AA+, AA+, and AAA. And with that, I would like to hand the presentation over to our co-bond counsels. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks, Matt. So nice to be with everyone. Belated Happy New Year. It's a great way to start a new year for us to be on this transaction. So thank you for having us. Before you for consideration is the adoption of 2 supplemental resolutions, one under the personal income tax revenue bond program and the other the state sales tax revenue bond program. Each supplemental resolution authorizes individually and together the issuance of up to $2 billion of authorized bonds, meaning that in no event will more than $2 billion of authorized bonds be issued under the supplemental resolutions before you today. As Matt described, in order to provide flexibility, it is proposed that the board authorize the issuance of bonds under both the PIT bond resolution adopted in 2009 and the sales tax resolution adopted in 2013. As described in our letter, the authorized bonds may be issued for any authorized purpose, but are expected to be paid for to pay for the projects referenced in our letter and to refund certain outstanding state-supported debt. Each supplemental resolution permits authorized bonds to be issued in one or more subseries at one or more times and to be sold on a negotiated basis or through competitive bidding. In addition, all or a portion of the authorized bonds may be issued as tax-exempt bonds and/or federally taxable bonds. Each supplemental resolution also provides for an authorized officer of DASNY to execute and deliver supplements to the related financing agreement for each program to reflect any additional issuance under that program. And finally, each supplemental resolution delegates to various officers of DASNY the power to make the determinations described in our letter and to do all things necessary or convenient in connection with the sale and issuance of the authorized bonds. And at this point, I'll turn it over to my friend Tani, who's going to cover each program in a little bit more detail.
Before you get going, Sonny, Nancy, could you X out of the, or move the info box? We can't see Sonny and Chris in New York. Is that us? Jerry? That's on us?
I was earlier, I unmuted things, but no one could unmute. I just wanted credit for that. I
Okay,
have no
you
idea.
get
Right up
credit.
there in the
Just X
corner there?
out.
If you assume I can get there. Where
A
is
little
it?
box. X, there you go. Okay, thank
There's a lot
you.
of
Good
pressure there,
job.
but-
Great job, Jerry.
Pressure was down.
Reflected
I
in
took
your
a deep breath. Channel.
Chair of the
Channel.
Technology Committee.
excellent job. All right, thank you. Sorry.
Good morning, folks. Just hope everyone can hear me. I just want to confirm that because,
We're good.
okay, great. Because
Here, Nancy.
Teams and I, we've had issues with our relationship over the years. So just want to be sure. And after that, I was like, oh boy, okay. Good morning and thank you, Chris. Morning, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. It's really great to be with everyone again. My partner, Seth Bryant, was hoping to join, but he unfortunately had a conflict. So he asked that I just convey his New Year wishes to everyone. So I'll just jump right into it. Like Chris said, I'm going to just give a brief overview of both the PIT and sales tax programs. So with regards to the PIT program, Article 5C of the state finance law authorizes DASNY and certain other authorized issuers to issue PIT bonds for any authorized purpose. All PIT bonds issued under the general purpose PIT bond resolution are special obligations of DASNY, secured by and payable from payments to be received by DASNY under the PIT financing agreement with DOB and certain funds and accounts held under the resolution. The PIT financing agreement obligates the state to pay debt service on outstanding PIT bonds, notes, and other obligations. Those payments are made from amounts available in the Revenue Bond Tax Fund established by state finance law and are subject to annual appropriation. The Revenue Bond Tax Fund receives statutorily allocated portions of the state's personal income tax receipts, the Employer Compensation Expense Program receipts, and the pass-through entity tax receipts. With regards to the sales tax program, Article 5F of the New York State Finance Law authorizes DASNY and certain other authorized issuers to issue sales tax bonds for any of the purposes for which state-supported debt may or has been issued. All sales tax bonds issued under the sales tax bond resolution are special obligations of DASNY secured by and payable from payments to be received by DASNY under the sales tax financing agreement with DOB and certain funds and accounts held under the resolution. The sales tax financing agreement obligates the state to pay debt service on all outstanding sales tax bonds issued under the sales tax bond resolution. Those payments are made from amounts available in the Sales Tax Revenue Bond Tax Fund established by state finance law, subject to appropriation. The Sales Tax Revenue Bond Tax Fund receives a statutorily allocated percentage of the revenues collected from the state's sales and compensating use taxes. This concludes our part of the presentation, but we're happy to answer any questions the board may have. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for the presenting team, Matt, Chris, or Sonny?
None here.
And noting that this financing was approved by the Finance Committee, may we have a motion for the board to approve the pit bond transaction. Okay, and bringing endorsement from the chair of the finance committee. Thank you, Jerry.
Small matter, just a small offering.
Can we get a second?
All right.
Second, thank you, Liz. Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Great. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Great. Thank you so much. Item 3B is a bit of a late breaking item. That's NYSARC for single approval transaction. We have Melissa Bennett of Barclay Damon presenting.
Could you just a little?
Yeah. Why don't you go through the
Sure.
the
So-
reason we are here?
So as we discussed in the finance committee, when we brought the NYSARC transaction to the board in November, we did not include in the series resolution, the bond council letter, language establishing the 10% maximum for the issuance of the 10% maximum interest rate for the issuance in connection with taxable bonds. So we're here today to basically rectify that matter. So turn it over to Melissa.
Great. Thanks, Portia, and good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Before the board for consideration is an amended and restated series resolution for those taxable NYSARC bonds, which would change the maximum authorized true interest cost for the fixed rate bonds and the maximum authorized initial interest rate of any variable rate bonds from 7.5% to 10%, as is customary with respect to DASNY's taxable bonds. Otherwise, the terms of the amended and restated series resolution will be in all other respects as previously described to the board. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Portia or Melissa? Did I see a hand up in Albany? Any questions anywhere? Okay, seeing no questions, could we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. That was you, Liz, and you, Kent. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Moving along, we'll turn it over to Robert for the president's report. I was going to say the state of the president. What's the state of the president?
Well,
Questionable.
well, in the report, there's a comment on the state of the state, so
That's what I was.
that's where we're
conflating.
going. Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Yesterday, I, of course, participated in Governor Hochul's 2026 State of the State address, attending and listening to her priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. And we're currently reviewing the proposals to see their impact specific to DASNY, but I think the top line priority is certainly childcare and the expansion of childcare. So I expect the budget will reflect that, as well as some other adjustments to support healthcare and some of the Medicaid changes are certainly some of the items that were highlighted in the broad spectrum of items that were covered during the State of the State. So,
And the rehabilitation of Long Island Railroad Station, Jamaica Station.
and the expansion of Second Avenue Subway, which, since you opened the door, I'm happy to walk through it.
The transit project.
And continuing to invest in transit and supporting the state in a variety of different initiatives. So we'll provide some more information on the specific DASNY impacts when the budget is released later on this month. But we do expect that certain key programs that we've initiated in the grant spectrum are going to continue in some form. Moving on to public finance briefly, just a brief update.
You failed to note that the State of the State was prefaced by the Syracuse marching bands.
That's right.
Give that man his flowers.
Absolutely.
They were there and they were great.
Our houses. And the governor was very excited to say that it is her contention that they are the best marching band in the country. I'm just saying there may be room for dissension on that and from other schools, but the governor's position has been made clear. With respect to public finance, just a brief recap of our year in terms of calendar issuance. For the calendar year, we had 23 issuances totaling approximately $11.3 billion. We've not yet heard from bond buyer where that puts us in the rankings, but I would guess we would at
Maybe
least
in the
be
playoffs.
top three. But so stay tuned. We'll have some more information on that. And thank you to the public finance team for helping us to achieve those transactions and that level of issuance and volume. Moving on to the year ahead, I want to note that we will be participating in the Bond Buyer National Outlook Conference in February on the 11th at the New York Athletic Club. I certainly invite any of the board members who want to participate and certainly hear some remarks on DASNY's progress and plans for the future, along with other relevant finance and public finance related activities and market trends to please consider attending. You're certainly all invited.
When is it?
February 11th.
At what time or?
Generally an all-day conference. I think our remarks are in the
If maybe someone could send around just a note to the board
morning. We
members.
sure will. Yeah. Excellent. On to other areas of the business. Our grants section has been particularly active through the holidays and beyond. So just to note, our New York Plays grant applications are currently open. And last week, the governor announced that our Plays initiative, to refresh people's memories, $67.5 million in funding for public playground projects across the state, with 35 million of those reserved for underserved communities, with applications to be accepted from May 4th through June 15th. So certainly plenty of lead time, pass the word, and we'll certainly do our part to market that to make sure that we have significant progress and applications and attempt to break some ground on some of these initiatives in the spring. The grants team has also been working diligently on the SWIMS, on the second round of the SWIMS program. This was an award of $63 million for 21 New York SWIMS projects, including 34 million of those that are going to underserved communities. This will go to expand safe and modern swimming spaces throughout the state and is part of the broader Unplug and Play initiative that the governor has created along with BRICS.
Robert, it's Al. For the New York Plays and New York Swims consideration, we use underserved communities. I'm sure that the grants folk have a definition for that so that we, in the end, everybody will be satisfied that underserved means what we want for it to mean. But could we have at some point a very brief, maybe a presentation from grants on how that word is defined?
We're happy to send that around, and it's certainly something that is iterated and involves a number of different metrics, some that go to census tract level, some to go to different poverty metrics, some that integrate school lunch kind of availability. So I'm sure grants would be happy to talk about how that is generated. And frankly, we continue to take feedback on that from external folks as well as the agencies to refine that to make sure that we are truly achieving our objectives in terms of targeting communities and even marginal communities. So we're happy to share that information and continue to take feedback on it. There's
It's probably rulemaking.
yes, there's a broad definition,
And it's
and
like, if you don't have a swimming pool or a playground within X place or in
Yes.
the open space, or like, I'm sure there's a pretty robust definition.
there is. And then just to add a little bit on to finishing our Unplugged and Plays initiatives with respect to BRICS, we mentioned the awards that we had done previously. I was also able to attend a press conference in Hempstead announcing one of our larger awards, a $15 million BRICS award for the village of Hempstead for Michelle Park, with Assembly members Burrows and Senator Bino. And it really is focusing on creating a brand new, vibrant community center, modernizing a park in Hempstead in an area that is significantly underserved, and has been a project that they've been trying to get off the ground and complete for really the last, 5 or 6 years. So it's really exciting to be able to do that and really impactful for, the village of Hempstead. Again, in the grants area, HECAP, we released our request for grant applications for our next round of HECAP, which is going to be at least $54 million with applications due there by March 27th. And this program, to refresh memories, is to support critical capital improvements at independent colleges and universities across the state. So moving away from grants and into construction, I want to recognize Steve and his team's work at Mid-Hudson Forensic Psych Center. They've achieved a significant milestone, topping off the Mid-Hudson Psych Center. This is a $406 million project. Once complete, will provide a brand new facility with over 300 patient beds and support modern, secure mental health services for the Mid-Hudson region.
Where is that? Like what location?
Goshen.
Oh, Goshen.
Near Goshen. Near Goshen and Middletown. I think they're on the border and they're both involved. Yep, certainly. And then to wrap us up, we had some meetings with some of our important clients. We met with Pace University and discussed some of their activities on their Pleasantville campus and some of their potential growth areas around healthcare and technology and cybersecurity. And that represents a long-standing relationship with DASNY going back almost 59 years at this point. In terms of engagement, I want to thank all of our team with respect to the holidays. There were significant holiday-related activities, toy drives, volunteerism at the regional food bank, and holiday gatherings at all of the various offices. So I appreciate their spirit, but more their commitment to community service and supporting their communities. I think most of our media coverage has been with respect to New York Plays, Bricks, and Swims, and I submit the seeker and monthly grant report for your review. That completes my report.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions for Robert on his report? Hearing none, we'll turn it over to Portia for finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Public finance, not private. It's public.
Included in the members' materials are the standard public finance reports. As Robert mentioned, we had a very good year last year in terms of volume. Just wanted to thank the entire staff of public finance, portfolio monitoring, legal, and finance for all their work. Brief market update, total volume for 2025 set a new issuance record at approximately $579.9 billion. That's up 12.9% from last year's comparable volume. This week, primary issuance is expected to total approximately $11.7 billion. Municipal bond flow saw inflows last week. Yesterday, AAA MMD yields were mostly unchanged, with the 10-year and 30-year steady at 2.67% and 4.21% respectively. Government bond yields were steady, with the 10-year Treasury decreasing by 1 basis point to 4.18 and the 30-year remaining at 4.83%. Since the December board meeting, the 1-year MMD rate has decreased by 22 basis points, 10-year has decreased by 10 basis points, the 30-year remained the same. During the same period, 10-year Treasury yields remained the same, and 30-year Treasury yield increased by 3 basis points. Also included in the members' materials is bond sales summary for the school district program, which includes performance metrics. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Great. Any questions for Portia?
Just a quick question. With the current interest rates possibly going down or at least volatile, are you seeing any trends, either entities postponing issuance till they get more clarity on the interest and or maybe going more to floating as opposed to fixed to take advantage of possible decrease in interest rates?
So, the time frame is pretty short from when we hear from clients. Back in the day, it used to be that we had, like a long heads up. We're thinking about doing this. Now folks are coming in and just saying, this is what we're doing, and we want to get on the board agenda as quickly as possible, which is really reflected in the kind of the new inquiry report that you see from us. I have to say, we have not really, not really heard a lot, Beryl, at this point in time, as far as floating.
The 10-year hasn't really anything, really.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I mean,
One,
Not enough to make bond issuance costs worth it, probably.
and I think it's a testimony to just the revised philosophy that we want to get everything on the board agenda that we can. We want to approve it as quickly as we can. And I think our clients appreciate that.
You know, and I appreciate that, Beryl, because I think thinking back on it, yes, you know, there probably was more of a dynamic where people wanted to talk about things that were maybe questionable, that they didn't know if it would necessarily work or square with our guidelines. So there was sort of more lead time there and more of a runway there. Whereas now, since we're market based, you know, that it's an interesting observation. I hadn't necessarily thought about it that way, but I think that's a really good observation.
Well, good job by staff.
and you're comfortable with the guidelines as they now
Very much
stand,
so.
right? I mean, we've adjusted and nothing else we can
Very
really.
much so. Yep. I think it's been a really good thing for our relationship with the clients. I think it's, you know, kind of reflective in our issuance. I think it's been very good.
And the quality of review, I don't believe suffered.
I think it's better
Yeah.
because it's clearer. I think like what we're reviewing, why we're doing it, what it is. Big fan of the
Yeah, the revising.
report.
It was done about a year ago, right? It is. It's very bing, bing. You can.
That's good to hear. Thank you. We really appreciate that feedback.
I'm a
You know.
bottom line kind of.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Anything else on that topic? Okay, I guess we'll turn it over then to Kim for the financial.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item behind tab 6 of your materials is the standing monthly financial report representing activity. As highlighted in the report, personnel expenses continue to be ahead of projection, primarily due to increased salaries as a result of hiring efforts. Non-personnel expenses are under projection by approximately $800,000, primarily related to lower expenses for computer services and equipment, professional services, training, office supplies, and legal fees. We closed on one private client debt issuance and received $100,000 in financing fees for the period, for a total of $1.8 million year to date. The percentage of direct hours charged to public client programs is held steady at 95.5%, but remains slightly over the budget of 94.4 for the year. The next item included in your materials is the proposed 2026-27 operating budget and financial plan, which was distributed to the members on December 30th. Also, in accordance with the Public Authorities Accountability Acts of 2005 and 2009, we posted the report on the internet and to the Public Authorities Reporting Information System on December 30th. We're meeting the requirement to file 90 days in advance of the beginning of the fiscal year. I'll now turn things over to Jeff Arnold, Director of Budget and Operations, who will walk you through the highlights of the proposed plan.
Thanks, Kim. Good morning, everybody. Happy to say that we are again compliant with all the Authority Budget Office requirements this year. That's a streak since they were established that I'm proud of. I'm going to go into a few of the details. I encourage anyone to interrupt me if you have any specific questions. The overall 2026-27 proposed operating budget, including pass-through expenses, is up $9 million or 7% from the adopted 25-26 budget. 79% of the overall increase is attributable to salaries and benefits. The proposed 2026-27 salary budget increased $5.3 million or 9% from the adopted 25-26 budget. We're projecting that we will exceed the 25-26 salaries budget by $2.3 million, as Kim just mentioned, as part of her monthly report. So that overrun has been factored into the proposed 26-27 budget. Proposed salary budget also includes funding for anticipated contractually obligated cost of living increases and step advances for all staff, as well as an allocation of certain succession planning costs to reserve funds. Our proposed benefits budget is increasing by $1.8 million or 5.6% in 26-27, with increases expected in retirement contributions and health insurance. Page 6 of your budget package has some statistics on headcount and benefits for your reference. Good historical data there. The maintenance and operations portion of the budget, or M&O, is expected to increase 0.4 million over the 25-26 adopted budget, with slight increases in computer services and depreciation expense. Proposed 26-27 pass-through expenses increased $1.4 million compared to the adopted 25-26 budget, primarily due to pass-through insurance expenses for property and general liability insurance, which are expected to increase 5% next year. On the revenue side, the proposed surplus for 26-27 is $2.9 million, down slightly from the projected $3.7 million surplus in the current year. The proposed 26-27 budget also shows that our projected allocation of costs between public clients, where we assume revenue to match expenses, and private clients, where we have fixed fees, to be 95% public and 5% private, which is consistent with recent experience. Again, additional historical information can be found on page 7 with regard to our cost allocation percentages. We are not planning to propose any changes to our private client fee structure, and we're projecting 15 private client financings for next fiscal year, which is slightly higher than historical averages, but a bit lower than what we're anticipating closing 25-26 with. 26-27 private client bond admin fees are expected to remain consistent with our 25-26 projections. And again, there's details on the fee structure and some historical content on page 7 and 8 of the budget package. As outlined on page 9 of the budget materials, construction disbursements are expected to increase 40% in 25-26 compared to last year's actual results, while the number of projects is expected to decrease slightly, but will continue to remain at higher levels than historical actuals. So I know Steve's always proud to say we're going to put $1 billion in the ground, and it looks like that's going to be the case this year. Many of the other items included in the budget package are provided just to meet requirements of the Public Authorities Law. We are not asking the board to take any action at this time, and we anticipate asking the board to adopt our 26-27 budget at the March board meeting. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. Yes.
Jeff, how do you project? Oh, sorry. This is Kat, sorry, in Albany. How do you project the number of and volume of private and public financing? I mean, what are the predictors that let you know that?
Mostly based on historical results and actuals. It's very difficult to speculate based on, market conditions or anything else, because obviously that drives volume quite a bit in our business. So I try and be conservative personally. We just had a good year, like Robert described in his report. Yeah. Try not to assume that same, type of volume is going to be there next year. So err on the side of caution. But certainly we look at, long history and make those.
And we made projections. I've only been a couple of years, but it's been successful projections for quite a while, hasn't it?
More or less, yes.
Okay. What's been the less? What's been the less? Just.
What's that?
What you said, more or less.
There's certainly been years. I think there was a downturn, back in, 2018, 19, 2008. I've been here. This is my 24th budget, so I have to talk about myself. So I've definitely seen some ebbs and flows in that area.
When we have the downturn and it's less, we've been able to adjust to it, I take it, in the budget.
Yeah, there's been years where we've run a deficit on our private client business just based on the decreased volume. Cumulatively over the years, though, we've definitely run a slight surplus, or at least break even. Yeah.
Thanks.
When there is, we're able to cash manage it effectively, protect our clients and our staff.
That's why I asked.
Anyone in New York? Any questions?
Yes, I think.
Yep, question regarding construction insurance, general liability insurance or wrap-up insurance expenses. Where would that be is that in the operating budget or is that a pass-through? Where would I find that? I love how we're increasing in terms of our overall construction projections. Just wanted to see if there was if the group felt that there was a corresponding increase with regard to general liability wrap-up insurance with regard to building construction.
There isn't. I'll let Jeff comment on that.
Okay.
Certainly seen an increase both in property and general liability in recent years. In answer to your first question, though, within the budget package, the majority of that cost is a pass-through expense that we just pass along to our clients. So we pay the bill and we bill the clients. Ideally, we bill them in advance so that we have the cash on hand to pay them. And we do obviously insure our own properties. That's kind of a small amount within the internal operating budget.
We've just completed our broker RFP, so we've selected a broker to continue, and we'll probably do the next liability insurance in March or so. Our most recent experience, there have been what they call nuclear and thermonuclear settlements, jury awards in the transportation area. And we've noticed we have a 60-car fleet. Our car insurance went up 45%.
Wow.
So general liability, all those storms and disasters are baked in, but we would anticipate an increase in the coming year. That seems to be the trend. We've held steady for a while and it's been pretty good, but we expect it to go up next year.
There seems to be a renewed interest in perhaps amending scaffolding law within New York
Girls
State.
can dream, Liz.
Girls can dream. There's a lot of discussion about it now, and for us as a public authority, we know that delta between, say, New York and some of our sister states can be extreme, 30% or more. And so, okay.
Have we ever
The city
considered,
is one of our largest insurance clients, so.
have we ever considered, given that we do have sort of resources within the company, looking at a captive? We started one, so I'm far from an expert on this.
There is a trend in the industry.
Certainly in the housing industry and construction industry, like the wrap-up policies, I
Yeah.
assume also were like with the GCs that we have.
Yep.
That we.
You have to be big like L&M, but
Well, but
DASNY
we
will
have.
fit in that, yes.
DASNY's maybe something worth looking at. I mean, I don't know that it works given our particular pass-through nature, but it may be something worth considering, just both as financial architecture as well as coverage, so.
Who's the new broker?
Marsh, same broker.
Same broker as last time.
But certainly
Marsh could also, they could certainly.
Yeah, right, they
Yeah,
clearly
I
are
mean-
capable of trying to come up with alternatives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd
yeah.
really be worth like having them look into it. I mean, it's complicated because it's against their self-interest. So we actually picked a different broker to look at that, but for early explorations, I don't know why we wouldn't just sort of inquire as to whether we would be appropriate given our liability structure.
and the increasing costs, right, year over year.
It's a way to also get visibility on our side. We bought like a 5-year program, which, allows you to budget on the increases a little.
Are there
Thank you.
comparable states, either in New York or outside, that do that?
I don't know. It's basically a form of self-insurance.
Right,
It
right.
may not be something that,
I mean, I know from a private
Like an
end
OSIS,
how.
right? Like the SCA and like the,
but yeah, I don't know.
defend-
It might just be worth exploring at the appropriate time. I don't know whether it makes sense or even within our public authorities.
Right, that's what I'm just trying to, I know how it works in the private sector.
Yeah,
like
but
the MTA, and they have like OSIS, they do a lot of OSIS, right?
yeah, they're an authority like we
Yeah,
are.
right.
So just worth thinking.
Defer to Jen, that would require likely a statutory change for the authority to do, and I know the state self-insures all their property. So for
Well,
our
it's
state
different from
client,
self-insurance. It sort of is self-insurance, but it's different. It's not like saying, bring me all your nuclear claims, everybody. I am the state, I am deep pocket. It's a policy. So, with caps and financial hedges and, stuff like that. Yeah. And then how does that savings get, shared? Since it's not our stuff, how does that potential savings get shared? It may not be worth it, but just given the craziness of insurance generally, I think it's worth looking at all options.
You talk about scaffold, there's a bill in Washington, right? To really like preempt on federally funded projects, right?
That's the strat.
Like whether it gets any traction, whatever, who knows?
I've learned a lot about insurance over the past 2 years, but I mean, another thing that some states are doing is they're basically passing safe harbors that would sort of mitigate against self harbor. Like if you do these and those things,
Right,
it's not unilateral liability. I'm super interested in that one because I feel
Right,
like
right.
that's a wedge in.
right.
I'll send it to those of you who are interested in the white paper that I have from insurance. I'll pass it around.
Love it. Love
Sure.
it. Yeah.
Been going up for 20-something years, the QBBA on the scaffold law and
Everybody.
Yeah.
does.
every-
Well,
repeated you came close, maybe about 10 years or so.
that's right.
It got some traction, but then.
All about the trial lawyers.
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make a diversion. Okay, anything else, Joe? Anybody else? Okay. If not,
Madam
then.
Chair, I just want to give a brief update on the implementation project.
Okay, great, sorry.
Since my last update in November, we kind of entered one of the final stages of the project. User acceptance testing began in mid-November, was anticipated to run through December. However, we've extended the initial UAT due to wrap up later this week. There have been 8 or 9 major processes completed and signed off by DASNY. The key processes that are remaining include accounts payable vendor payment processing through bank settlement. This is an area that had the highest number of customizations by the consultant, and it's been an iterative approach to test all DASNY scenarios related to payments and banking. Bank account reconciliation, we're working through the receipt of files from the bank, testing the automatic reconciliation process. The PM Web integrations, we're solidifying volume testing for data to be integrated from the PM Web system to Dynamics 365. And lastly, on the reporting side, we have one major financial report that remains an open item with HSO. From an issue standpoint, staff are creating issue cases when they encounter problems with test cases or processes. HSO is reviewing and correcting before returning to DASNY to retest. And we currently have 6 issues logged and outstanding. Our next steps is we will be completing sign off on critical processes needed for go live and ensuring all high priority issues are resolved. HSO will begin provisioning the production environment in preparation for go live. And we are engaging in cutover planning to discuss data migration approach, legacy system downtime, and other items required in order to go live. And lastly, we will be looking at executing a managed services contract with the consultant for 12 months to support post go live. This will commence approximately 1 month after the go live when the hypercare period ends. From a timeline perspective, we previously anticipated a go live date of February 2nd. However, with the extension of the testing period and pending resolution of the open items with HSO, we don't expect to meet that date. We will have a better sense of the new date once critical open issues have been resolved, but we expect to be live no later than 4/1/26, the beginning of our new fiscal year. And unless there's any questions, that concludes my report.
You ready? Okay. All right, now we'll turn it over to Steve for the construction report.
Thank you. Good morning. There were no new projects added to the portfolio during the reporting period. There were 4 new projects that moved from less than 5 million onto our report. All 4 were for CUNY and they total about $30 million. We completed 3 projects during the reporting period, 2 for CUNY, 1 for OPW. Their value was approximately 30 million. There were no dropped projects. Construction expenditures through November of 25 are at 781 million. That's 212 million more than last year at the same time. Cover project is for Mohawk Valley Psych Center. It was a re-roofing project for one of the older buildings out there. $4.1 million project. A+ was our design consultant and Over Roofing was our construction contract. A couple of program updates. We received a project request from SUNY Delhi for a new build residence hall. It'll be 100 to 150 beds based on their budget. Mixed style apartment rooms with a $30 million budget and a 30-month project schedule. So that was some good news we got in December. Moving ahead on Binghamton and Cortland, those 2 projects. And in the procurement stage for the most part for the summer 2026 projects at this time. As far as CUNY goes, we're meeting tomorrow with the Vice Chancellor in our typical monthly program improvement meeting. We also have a CUNY coordination meeting tomorrow prior to the improvement meeting. We got word from our project financial administration group that expenditures for CUNY for 2025, the third quarter, are around 94 million, which is very close to what we forecasted, which is good news. We have one more quarter. We're beginning the reforecasting effort for 26-27, and we'll have those forecasts in place by April 1st. Quick update on some OMH and OPW projects. The Capital District Psych Center parking garage foundations are completing. The precast concrete frame is underway, which is good news. We're ahead of schedule on that project. The Mid-Hudson Psych Center steel, as Robert reported, topped off in December. MEP Ruffin and other trades are on site at this time. Western New York Psych Center, we are back in action out there, working around the existing gym facility and still working to remedy the issues associated with the addition out there. Last month, I reported that we were procuring for a construction contractor at Central New York PC. We talked a little bit about the number of times we went out for procurement unsuccessfully. I talked a little bit about the PLA. We got expression of interests back from 5 CM build contractors, which far exceeds the 0 number that we had on the first 3. So some good news there. I likely won't report on that again. Looks like that project will move forward. DOH Life Sciences Lab, the $1.7 billion lab, remains on schedule and on budget. Despite the winter weather, we continue with foundation work. We should be swinging steel later this spring. Just a couple of administrative items, 20 open recruitments, 30 open positions, working to knock those down. We do have summer interns lined up for the summer of 2026 across the state. There's 2 upcoming conferences that DASNY will be presenting at. One is the New York State ACEC Winter Conference. The other is the SUNY IAPA Winter Conference. Both of those are in early February. And lastly, the next Directors and Chiefs meeting for the construction division will be held on January 29th. That concludes my report.
I know you still have open positions, but you're down. The trend is going the right way.
It certainly is. I mean, if you remember last summer, we were at 70.
Yeah.
And 30 of those 30, probably half of those are folks who are hired who just haven't come into data. We got 3 people starting tomorrow. So we carry the number of folks that are not actually sitting in a chair here, even if we hired them.
So next month will look even better.
Yes, it should, unless people leave and we have to backfill and hire them. But yes, it should look better.
Just add, I think we're at a steady state there. I mean, I think, having joined 2 years ago, I remember, Steve, we were very pessimistic at the rate at which we could hire and build up on the construction team as part of the restructuring that we were performing. And I think, in that period of time, the teams have worked really well to fill, identify, and deal with not just onboarding, but, some retirements and attrition that has occurred there. And I think, kudos to Steve and his team for moving as quickly as possible to get the folks that we need on board. And so, we think we're at a good place now, and it's all about maintenance and at this point forward.
Thank you, economic slowdown.
I was just gonna say, I think the market has contributed.
Government.
There's no question that
People
we're getting
just are
more
like
people.
struggling for jobs right now. So
Yeah, we're getting more people showing up for interviews. I'm not saying they're qualified, but we certainly have more resumes coming through the door.
that's great. Anything else on construction? Okay. That concludes our regularly scheduled programming. Could we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the financial and credit history of a particular corporation, matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and proposed pending or current litigation? Thank you. Was that Carol or Liz?
It was Liz, but
Liz.
I will too.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, will you please send us into executive session, noting that, and thanking all of our robust IT help here. I know we've got all hands on deck to make sure our technology is working, and it is. So I want to note that we have a couple of session where no decisions were made other than to return to public session. The next meeting is February 11th, 2026. There will also be a governance committee meeting and subsidiary governance committee meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Great.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Liz, thank you. Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.